Yeah, in the name of Jesus. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And every tongue that rises against me in judgment, thou shalt condemn. Lord, give me a sign. For this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and the righteousness is of me, said the Lord. Amen. Lord, give me a sign. I really need to talk to you, Lord. Since the last time we talked, the walk has been hard. Now I know you haven't left me, but I feel like I'm alone. I'm a big boy now, but I'm still not grown, and I'm still going through it like pain and a hurt. Soaking up trouble like rain in the dirt. And I know only I can stop the rain, but just a what I used to, it all that stops right here. As long as the Lord's in my life, I will have no fear. I will know no pain from the light to the dark. I will show no shame, spit it right from the heart. Cause it's right from the start. You held me down and ain't nothing they can tell me now. Lord, give me a sign. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what I'm gonna find. It's all the time. Show me how to teach the mind. Show me how to reach the blind. Lord, give me a sign. Show me what I got to do to bring me closer to you. Cause I'ma go through whatever you want me to. Just let me know what to do. Lord, give me a sign.
You are inside the Danny Morrison Show with Danny Morrison returning on Monday. Shout out to Danny if you are listening. We are sending you love tonight from KBLA, from Robin, from Faraji, from Andy.
Absolutely.
Giving you some love. Wow. R.I.P. to DMX.
Absolutely.
And I thank you, Andy, for playing that too, because that's sort of an example too for us who always talked about God in his lyrics, but not just in a what?
He said he's different.
How so?
Real quick, because we knew DMX's struggles, his struggles of addiction, his struggles with family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when he went into the booth and talked about God, it was like he sounded like a Christian rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to the booth. He's talking about it from a very humble space. Like, you know, and I think that's the other thing about this conversation. Like when you start talking about the Creator, when you start talking about God, now we got to take in your personal story, right? And so how you tell your story is going to speak volumes about, you know, who you are and how you see yourself. DMX, he never came out and just, you know, act as if he was the Almighty.
Do you think that that's what's missing from a lot of what these rappers are putting out in their music? We're missing the struggle. I mean, because they talk about being from the streets. They talk about, you know, a lot of the things that they've been through. But to me, it almost sounds like manufactured.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. You know, I think that the industry has mastered, you know, having artists in front of us and having this God consciousness and put the story of God in such a way that it's not just a reflection of the artist's journey or their story, but it's like reshaping our understanding of the relationship that God has with people, with his servants, right? But the industry know that. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at all of our great rappers, especially on the male side, you can go from Tupac, look at Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you look at those voices, those great voices, in one sense, you're talking about, you know, death and all of that other stuff, the street life, the whole thing. Yeah. And then in another sense, like, Lord, forgive me, you know. And that's the duality of the human experience, right? But there is there's something that has to be said. Like, you can't continue to go down that path of living the street life and be aware of God without there being some consequences. You know what I'm saying? Because you know better. Once you become aware of who God is, once you become spiritually conscious, then you can know if you have to choose to go back into a certain level of ignorance.
I wonder if this recent death, and we've been talking about it a lot, and I don't necessarily want to go down this rabbit hole per se. We will get to these But I do want to know your thoughts on this climate right now, what's happening inside the industry and with hip hop specifically, with the most recent death of Takeoff from the Migos. You're starting to hear this conversation more and more and more. How people are, I'm done with hip hop, or that they're really focusing on hip hop as a genre, not the culture of it, but the genre of hip hop music. And it almost feels like there's this paradigm shift that is it's right on the precipice. Something is getting ready to happen, right? And I wonder if you feel it. I wonder if you think that
hip hop going to take a different direction. Absolutely.
How so?
Because that trending hashtag that was actually happened when Young Dolph was killed, the other hip hop artist last year, by his longtime girlfriend.
Black men deserve
to grow old.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even hear about that hashtag last year when Young Dolph died. But then I'm seeing it all over the place when Takeoff dies.
Yeah.
So is there going to be? I truly believe that the brothers and sisters that are the artists, I truly believe that these are decent people who want to use their music for good. Even when they tell their stories about the street life and all of that stuff, I think those are told from a space of just being a cautionary tale more so than follow my lead, right? So I think that, but I don't think the industry will allow them to, or give them the space to tell that part of the story, because they all have grown up. I mean, it's like hometown hero Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't talk about that life no more. Because why? How many years removed from it? You know what I mean? Is he? And he's in a different place in his life.
Yeah. There was a clip of him talking about, his death and what's going on with hip hop and all of that stuff. And you're right. He's very far removed from it. But it's interesting. I had a conversation with co-host last night, A.B. Burns Tucker. I don't know if you're familiar with her. Okay, so boom.
I did see her.
Yeah, she's super funny.
She is
super funny. She's incredibly bright, and I love the videos that she puts out.
I think I just followed her because of you.
Oh, okay, very cool. Yeah, she's great. But I was asking her a question about hip hop and what's happening within hip hop and all of these rappers being killed and all of that stuff. Is it people are, again, they have a laser focus on the music right now. They're talking about hip hop, the music. And I'm going to ask you when we come forward, is it the music or is it the mentality? Is it the mentality of these men who came from a certain place and they can never shake that, they never evolve from that place? Or is it music that is sort of still pushing this narrative of violence and drugs and, just that world? Which one is it? Is it a combination of both? But I want you to think about it and answer on the other side. When we come forward, it's KBLA Talk 1580.
From Bakersfield to Los Angeles, like George and Weezy, Danny Morrison is moving on up at KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cow-cruise-news.com. That's cowcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens FindRx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th. Find a plan that's right for you at walgreens.com/Medicare.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for human rights. The Los Angeles Civil, Human Rights and Equity Department, or LA Civil Rights for short, is focused on reducing bias and injustices while leveling the playing field. LA Civil Rights does this through of racial equity, hate prevention, upward mobility programming, and youth programming. They convene commissions and advisory councils. The Civil, Human Rights and Equity Department of the City of Los Angeles is led by founding executive director Capri Maddox and is breaking new ground for municipal governments. LA Civil Rights oversees citywide initiatives, including the Renew Program, LA Repair Program, and the LA for All campaign. The LA Civil Rights Department believes that the goals of equity and inclusion for all people can be achieved through hard work and collective action. To get involved and be part of the solution, report a civil rights violation, or get more information, visit civilandhumanrights.lacity.org. That's civilandhumanrights.lacity.org or call 213-978. Is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Real talk, real time, the gospel truth. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
And once again, we are having these incredible conversations. I love where it's going, and I love breaking this down. I think it's very necessary. And I was asking you, Faraji, what your thoughts are. You know, what do you think it is? I remember a time where hip-hop, for me, I fell in love with it because of it wasn't necessarily the content, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It's evolved over time, but I think it was whatever it stood for meant something to us back in the day, and it has come so far, good and bad in many ways, but it's leading all of these guys, all of these men and women, by the way, it's leading all of these people into what seems like just a dangerous field. It seems like if you're attached to it, you're in harm's way. And the reason I'm saying that is that it's sort of, you know, we keep seeing it time and time again. People are being killed. People are being, their chains are being snatched. They are being jumped. They're being homes broken into. It's just, it comes with a lot. So my question to you was, what is the culprit here? Is it the mentality that these people never healed? These people never evolved from a mentality from when they were growing up in their community, in their hood. And then, you know, and this is what happens. You know, you come from nothing and, you know, then all of a sudden you have money, right? It's the same thing that happens with ball players. And I'm not trying to go on a tangent here, but same thing that happens a lot with these athletes. They come from, you know, humble beginnings, and then all of a sudden you have money. Nothing's really changed about you. You just have money. Yeah. Similarly with these artists, that you've taken with you since your childhood, and nothing has really happened. You didn't grow really much mentally from it. So is it the mentality, or is it the industry itself? Is it music? Is it the hip-hop business? What is happening in your perspective?
I think it's both. You know what I mean? I think it's gotten to the point where it's like asking that proverbial question of, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Yeah. At this point, it's like, what came first? Mm-hmm. You know,
it doesn't even matter anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter in the sense of, oh, okay. I mean, we have a problem with the mentality, and then you have a problem with the industry. You got a problem with the culture. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're at a point right now. We just got to ask ourselves the question: do we want to, you know, change something? Are we serious about change? Which is why I think that, you know, even the hashtag Black Men Deserve to Grow Old. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful hashtag, but how do we use that to activate people? You know what I mean, on a real life level. Mm-hmm. Thing. Because the black men that are shooting and killing each other, they're not thinking about that.
You know what it feels like? We did this during the pandemic when everybody was at home in quarantine, everybody was talking about, boycotting certain stores and promoting black businesses and buying black and all of that stuff. And we tried it. I don't know if you remember. And then we tried to do a Black Lives Matter blackout day. And that day, that was the day that we were supposed to shop black and do nothing but shop black. And everybody put the black square inside of their profiles on Instagram.
That. Yeah.
And it's like, it's cool for a day. I think the problem is we're not making any real change. No one wants to stick with it because of, I don't know if it's convenience. I don't know if maybe we feel as though we're not strong enough. Because if you think about it, let's take that day for an example when we were supposed to shop black, buy black. I'm sure some people did it. I'm sure some people did it and went back to Target the next day. You see what I'm saying? So what's happening in our mentality, those of us who aren't in hip hop, right? Those of us who have nothing to do with that industry, but we love our people. We see what's happening in the streets, and we see what's happening, and probably will continue to happen, unfortunately. We see it, but what's happening in our mentality that says we don't feel like we don't have enough power to make a move or enough power to make change within that industry?
I mean, I think that stems from all of our years of chattel slavery all the way up to this present moment. You know what I mean? Like we don't believe we have power, and this is probably one of the biggest hurdles that we have to get over.
Yeah, is
the fact that we have to recognize that we do have power. We have to recognize that God is on our side, right? We are His people. And then we got to realize this struggle is only for a moment in the big scheme of things. Like liberation, freedom, justice, and equality for black folks in this country is coming and is happening at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be in a position of on the bottom forever.
Yeah, you sound like me. I believe that too. Yeah,
I mean, I totally believe that. Yeah. But see, the other thing is that when you're talking about like the mentality, we can't talk about change unless there's a sacrifice. We gotta give up something in order for us to move to the next level. It's like anything that happens in our personal lives, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't go to the next level of your growth and development unless you kind of shed the old and get into the new. And, you know, we got to shed some old skin. And the things that we got to shed, we still fighting for. We still fighting for. I'm gonna be on this soapbox all day. We're still fighting for using the N-word. We're still fighting for, about some of the destructive cultural things that we do each and every day. We want to fight to hold on to those things, right? But you can't. I want to change. I want things to be different. But you want to be the same person.
Do you feel like, to a certain degree, what we're experiencing right now with the loss of a lot of our people in the industry is a sacrifice?
It's a sacrifice and it's a sign.
Of what? Break that down, the sign.
The sign is, when you have some of your brightest stars who finally set, something is happening. There's some sort of universal change. I truly believe a universal change. I don't think I remember a time period, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Robin. I don't think I remember a time period where we saw so many of our brightest transition. Back to back to back. I mean,
true.
Past 5 years, we must have lost.
Yeah, no, it's been happening so much more.
Probably at least good 10 to 20 a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like it's just back to back. And I'm saying people that you didn't even think about, you're like, oh my gosh, that's right. They added this to the culture, they added that to the culture, and they're just, their time is over. Their time is up. They set. And you're like, man, what's going on? But I truly believe that's a sign that some universal change is coming.
That's where I was going with that whole paradigm shift. Something has got to, I feel like it's happening right before our eyes.
I mean, look.
I'm not sure what more needs to happen for it to change, but it feels like we're right there.
I know we're right there.
Yeah.
I just know we're right there. Like, everything is so different. The energy feels different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're in a very, very important time. And it is going to be super important for us as black folks in this country that we try to hold on to truth, right? Shed away the lies about ourselves, shed away the lies about who we are and where, the systems that we're in and all of those things. But then more importantly, to hold on to our sanity. Between the changing of worlds, right? Because we're in a time where there's a new consciousness that's emerging. Black folks aren't the same black folks of 40 years ago.
Right.
We're actually growing. Our consciousness is evolving, right? And if you say
we are
really, we've given birth to a generation that's unlike any other generation.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not on the same track of, go to school, get a good job, and try to provide for your family. This is a generation that's saying, I might go to school. I'm talking about college. I might go to college, or I want to create my own platform where my voice is heard.
Definitely. This is probably, certainly in our lifetime, the most progressive generation that we've ever seen, that we've ever witnessed. Those, like you said, who are saying, I'm choosing to let life be my school, life be my teacher. You know what I mean? And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it, but I guess the interesting thing for me is the conversation seems to be, you have two opposing sides almost within the black community. On one hand, you hear, nothing's changed.
Right.
You hear it's getting worse. You hear that. Yeah. And then on the flip side, from us, you hear, no, it's getting better and we're more progressive and we're seeing a lot of change, and I don't know, again, what the solution is. And we could do this all day. We talk about this all day. Don't get me wrong. The conversations are necessary. The conversations have to happen because, that's a big part of it. For so long, I think we kept so many things indoors. We kept it under wraps, right? Yeah. But now we are speaking more freely about it. People are open. We have a lot of our leaders out here speaking, holding it down, and I appreciate that. I love that. But we don't know what the solutions are. That's my concern. My concern is, again, we can take this to social media because we all talk about it on social media. We'll hashtag something to death, and still no changes there. So,
well, I think that we don't know the solution, and that may not necessarily be a bad thing just because this is new ground, new territory, right? And so, it's like, look at the state of our government, right? The state of our government right now, the government may do a hit or miss job on issues that are important to us, right?
Yeah.
And we are really at a point in our government where we're going to have to step up. We're going to have to make a collective decision or critical mass decision where we have to say, since the government is not doing what we expected it to do, since the government is not doing what it has always done, since the government is showing signs of being flawed and broken down and pretty much overburdened, then we're going to have to step up. Who's going to fill in the gaps? Who fills in the gaps when a system, when the constituents or the constituency and their government are at odds with one another? And that's a terrible place to be if you're quote unquote a civilized society. You should not be at odds with your government. You know what I'm saying? But who steps up? Who steps up when the government say we got no more money for you? And you say, and we say, well, you're supposed to be the government. You're supposed to have all the money. You're supposed to. We don't have no more money for you. We don't have no more jobs for you.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, I mean, this is partially the conversation that we were having last night when my guest co-host was here last night, and we were talking about voting. Let's take it back to voting. That's where it starts. That's where it should end, to be honest with you. And I guess that's where we're going to wrap this conversation up, is voting. Because I played a really cool video last night. I don't know. We certainly don't have time to play it right now. But this guy named Yellow Payne, I believe, from Ohio, I believe, he put out a video in 2020 about the lack of education surrounding I think the name of the song was called "My Vote Don't Count," but it was because of the lack of education that we as a people. So I think we are making great strides there in getting our people to the ballot, or to the polls. That's happening Tuesday, November 8th. Please go and vote. Don't leave us hanging. You got to get out there. You have to represent. That is mandatory. Mandatory. So when we come forward, we got to get to some of these videos that I've been talking about upon further review.
Come on, yo.
We're going to switch the energy up here. We started getting a little deep, but it was good. I thought it was good. Great conversation and it needed to happen. So I appreciate you for that. Yeah. Let's get to some news right now. You're inside the Danny Morrison Show. It's KBLA Talk 1580. Stay right there.
Nighttime is the right time for Danny Morrison on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Island, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Lyft is cutting more than a tenth of its workers. The rideshare company says 13% of its employees will be let go. Lyft's co-founders cited economic challenges, including a possible recession. Meanwhile, a top White House official claims the country isn't in a recession. Chief of Staff Ron Klain cited low unemployment claims and a low unemployment rate, along with a good stock market. The number one problem facing the economy. The UN Secretary General is happy ships carrying food are leaving Ukraine again. Antonio Guterres called the development hopeful news in a world churning in turmoil. Mortgage rates are dropping back below the 7% mark. Freddie Mac says a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage came out to an average of 6.95% for the week that ended today. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Island from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Netspend All Access account. Get the account designed for your everyday mobile banking needs. Banking services provided by and account established by Pathward N.A. Member FDIC. Deposit account opening is subject to registration and ID verification. Terms and costs apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richards.
Silver has scheduled a meeting next week with Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving. Silver said he's disappointed in Irving for not apologizing for promoting a documentary on his Twitter page that supports anti-Semitism. Robert Dillingham, the top high school point guard in the country, is leaving Donda Academy in Chatsworth to sign with Overtime Elite. The basketball team at Donda Academy, a prep school started by Kanye West, is in jeopardy of not having a season. Opponents are canceling games against Donda because of anti-Semitism comments made by West. New York Giants general manager Joe Shane admitted he has contacted the agent for Rams wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we'll slam dunk. Call 833 site at themvp.com for a free case review.
If you're the victim of a car accident, call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to getting the maximum compensation you deserve, our team hits it out of the park. Call 833-MVP-WINS for a free case review.
Call on me, your MVP. Step been mightier than the sword.
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA. Remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
When you're the victim of a car accident, who goes to bat for you is crucial. We're MVP Accident Attorneys, the personal injury pros. Hiring the right law firm could be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. When it comes to getting the maximum compensation you deserve, our team hits it out of the park. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for a free case review. Call 833-MVP-WINS.
Call on me, your MVP.
Haven't voted yet? Save time and avoid the Election Day lines by voting early. Visit plan.lavote.gov to find a vote center in your neighborhood. November 8th.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
Power to the people.
Get involved. In order to do this, we're assigning a voters registration drive. It's going to be the ballot or the bullet. After we get our people registered, we can then organize that voting strength and channel it in the direction that will get immediate results for the benefit of our people.
Malcolm X recognized the importance of the vote as a fundamental tool of black political power and civic engagement. Become part of the national movement to defend and help make our democracy a more perfect union. Let's use all the tools at our disposal. Register to vote and then cast your ballot on or by November 8th.
Paid for by the African American Voter Registration, Education, and Participation Project. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show exclusively on KBLA Talk.
Electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes. I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Nobody care about us. And that's wrong vote. Voting for Obama back in 2012, I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can. And everybody got less food stamps. When I turned 21, I was still broke. I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own. Ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the man's name. I ain't never seen him one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave up. Ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just want to keep us broke. They ain't putting nothing in place for us. This how all my enough. Let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know thinks the same way. See, they don't want to see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. Well, all we know is the executive. That's the mayor, or the governor, and the president. Now, none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking it. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do. Okay, y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't ever even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it, though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 to vote for the Congress, because they the ones make child support laws. That school gon' get the East steak or corn dogs. The state house make the court call. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't gotta leave after 4 years. We just let them sit. See, they don't want to tell you this. They want you to focus on the president. Now the third branch is the judicial. That's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon ain't had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up just for popping willies, we blame the judge and not the city when they let her get voted in. Cause they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back, grocery store food better, custody of your kids back, homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters, me and you. Somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is cause we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the polls.
Woo. Powerful.
That's
that
like
was
a
Yellow
new
Pain.
That's Yellow Pain?
Yeah. Rapper out of the Midwest.
He sound like a new version of Schoolhouse Rock. Y'all
Okay.
remember school? You remember
I remember.
Schoolhouse?
Yeah.
He telling you how a bill became a law.
Yeah. I do remember that. But you know what? Sometimes you need to break it down just like that.
You should, because you know what? Here's the thing that a lot of us, we either forgot or we just don't know how our government works.
That's exactly what he said. I mean, we learn about it, but we absolutely as soon as we leave school, and then there's a I don't think they focus enough on it. They don't put the importance of voting. Everything. They certainly don't break it down the way that he just did, and so we do forget about it.
We forget about it, and one of the things that when we have these conversations about certain laws, don't understand like where they come from, who's responsible for it. I mean, this stuff is important. This stuff is that, and that goes back to the point that I was making before we played his piece, which is, if you're talking about being an engaged citizen, an active citizen, that requires you to learn some things. That requires you to understand how your government works. And unfortunately, we're living in a culture where we put people in office and then we let them tell us what the job description is going to be. And who does that? You don't hire somebody and then let them tell you what they will and will not do.
Yeah. I mean, even in addition to that, because I completely agree with what you said, we don't understand, especially people who've never voted, people who've never really been engaged. We don't understand that even just on a local level, it seems to be above our heads, right? It's so outside of our reach that people don't think they have any power. And that's just because you're not even practicing on a local level. You're not practicing. No. You're not any of your community. You're not an activist. You're not civically engaged like any of that. You don't know. He talked about potholes.
Right.
Potholes, not knowing that you can put in calls, not knowing that you could,
Oh yeah.
Get involved and get those things filled. Get involved. Put the phone calls in. And people don't understand that, and so then you have a situation where people go their entire lives without voting because they think they have no power and that their vote doesn't count.
And the New York Times put out a piece where they talk about 5 unfounded claims about voting that is circulating currently online. And one of the big things to see is that, when you have that conversation about your vote don't count. In this election, where this, local, like we have here, we got a mayoral election, we got state elections happening on November the 8th. This election is more important than the president's election.
That's exactly what we were
You know what I'm
talking
saying? And these are the elections about county positions, city positions, that we do hear about and don't hear about, that when the people vote, those votes count. They don't go through an electoral college process for these local elections. It's purely on, you got this many votes versus this many votes.
So let me ask you, like I brought this up last night, and we're talking about it because I think it is so important. We're right here. Voting is November 8th, and we have to do it. So for those people who are listening who probably never voted before, I mean, we have to encourage them. We have to get them engaged. So, what would be your process of learning about voting and learning about who you want to vote for?
I mean, I think that you start with, okay, who connects with you the most, whose message resonates with you the most, and then you start from there. So, for example, if you're looking at this mayoral race with Congresswoman Karen Bass, Rick Caruso, you know what I mean, saying, okay, obviously they're coming from two different realities, right? One is
completely different
realities, right? So then you start to ask yourself the question, okay, whose message is in alignment with my values? Whose message do I feel like I'm going to be seen and heard?
Who's going to represent me best, right?
Who's going to represent me? That when I call their office, the mayor's office downtown, right? That their office is really going to help me when I need it. You know. Now, you got to look at their track record. You got to look at their experience, at what they have stood for.
And you have to look at their plan.
And looking at their plan. You know what I'm saying? Like really, the good thing about certain races like this, like you got two people, it don't take much. It don't take much for you to just take a look at their plan and say, all right, let me do a compare and contrast situation with their plan. It doesn't take much. But I think that if, like the New York Times, they did another piece where they talked about, I think it was like 12 young voters. And these are voters that are like in their late 20s. So they voted before, but they haven't gotten involved in this midterm election. And I remember reading the story of one sister down in Atlanta who said that she doesn't know if she's even going to vote because no candidate really has spoken to her. Now, she's a young black woman in Atlanta, right? And she's, when asked her, well, who you have? I don't know. Now, what's the big race between Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock, and you got the race with Brian Kemp, the current governor, and Stacey Abrams, right? And it's like people are like, oh my gosh, this sister don't know. Well, she's a young black woman in like mid-20s. This is her second time voting in an election. At the end of the day, like, do you really expect her? And that's a go back. When you were 25, did you go and listen to the candidates? Like, this is a different culture. You got to speak differently.
Yeah, you do. November 8th. Y'all, it's around the corner. Please make sure you go vote. When we come forward, we absolutely will listen to this. At least one video tonight. We're gonna end it off with a bang when we come forward. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
From Bakersfield to Los Angeles, George and Weezy, Danny Morrison is moving on up at KBLA Talk 1580.
California college students, are you ready to earn cash for community service? I'm Aisha Cairo, and I can tell you how, thanks to CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. This is the first hashtag Californians for All College Corps Fellows will begin during the 2022-2023 academic year. Students can receive up to $10,000 for completing a year of community service. College Corps is a statewide paid service program that provides meaningful work to college students that helps them graduate on time with less debt while benefiting the local community. According to Governor Newsom, College Corps is about restoring the social contract between the government and its citizens. This public investment builds upon California Volunteers' army of service members. Over the next 4 years, College Corps will engage 13,000 California undergrads. Find out more at californiavolunteers.ca.gov.
Abortion rights are literally on your ballot this year. Voting yes on Prop 1 protects your personal health care decisions by putting the fundamental right to abortion and the fundamental right to choose or refuse contraception into the state constitution. So no judge, no politician, and no ban can restrict your decision-making about basic health care services. If you agree that everyone deserves the respect and dignity to make the decisions that are right for them and their families, vote yes on Prop 1 and mail back your ballot by November 8th. No stamp needed. Together with the Black Women for Wellness Action Project and the California Legislative Black Caucus, we'll demand reproductive freedom and protect abortion rights for generations to come. Vote yes on Prop 1. Ad paid for by Yes on Proposition 1, supported by healthcare organizations, Planned Parenthood affiliates of Ballot Measure Committee. Committee major funding from Federated Indians of Creighton Rancheria.
Roll out. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, 0 down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. They're located conveniently on Redondo Beach Boulevard at Western, and they specialize in helping folks out who have no credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, or repos. The folks at Gardena Nissan will take fantastic care of you and help you get into the car you need and deserve at a spectacular price. Visit them today or shop online at GardenaNissan.com. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, 0 down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. GardenaNissan.com. 0 down on approved credit. GardenaNissan.com. Roll out.
Power to the people.
Say his name. 12-year-old Ohio youth Tamir Rice was gunned down at a public park while playing with a toy gun, a mere 12 seconds after police arrived on the scene in 2014. No one was ever prosecuted. Justice for Tamir denied. Say his name. Tamir Rice. Tamir would have been 20 on June 25th. He'd be able to cast the ballot for only the second time in the national election this November. Say his name. Tamir Rice. Tamir can't vote on November 8th. His voice was silenced long before he was ever able to vote. Do you think those who denied him justice will vote? Say his name, Tamir Rice, and vote on or by November 8th.
Paid for by the African American Voter Registration, Education, and Participation Project.
Haven't voted yet? Save time and avoid the Election Day lines by voting early. Visit plan.lavote.gov to find a vote center in your neighborhood and stop by before Tuesday, November 8th.
Ew. Stuck in a cycle of rewashing your clothes? Because you can't remove tough laundry odor? When detergent by itself can't cut it, use new Downy Rinse and Refresh. With a breakthrough odor-removing formula, it removes odors in one wash, better than the leading value detergent in 3 washes, keeping all your laundry fresh. Now you can break the cycle of rewashing. With Downy Rinse and Refresh.
Real talk, real time, the gospel truth. You're listening to the Danny Morrison Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
About getting to this video, we got to do it. And I'm only playing it because we played so much of Kim Burrell at one point. If you don't know who Kim Burrell is, she is like the ultimate gospel singer. She's like the queen, the mother of gospel music. But she said some hurtful things, you know, in the past, and people have called her out for it. But it looks like this time it really, really got to her. And she sat down for a conversation, and she was talking about some of the effects that she's experienced. Let's go ahead and listen to Kim Burrell and what she had to say, and let's talk about, because she talks a little bit about cancel culture too. And you're a culture guy, so I want to hear what your thoughts are. So let's hear this.
There was an Ellen DeGeneres performance that you were supposed to appear on. And it was pulled as a result of some of the things that people saw online and some things were trending. Were you supposed to be on the show?
Yeah, it was.
And it was pulled as a result of what was.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. How did you feel that it was handled? I mean, because Pharrell's a friend to all of us. Like, did you feel like, in hindsight, is there something that could have been done differently from your perspective, from others that were involved perspective?
Oh, sure. There was a whole lot that could have been done differently. For one, right about then, you know, I hadn't heard of it before, but the cancel culture piece, I tell you, I glory in those days because I was chosen to be put in that position. And I know God had a divine purpose for me, but I have not shared that I was shot at. I had helicopters flying over my home. I had constables, sheriffs living outside my house for 7 days. One would drive off, another was 24 hours. When all the news started going crazy, Stevie called me and says, "I don't like what I'm hearing." And what is really going on? I need you to come to me. He buys an airline ticket, and me and my assistant flew to Stevie.
We so baby.
Oh. So, are you familiar with what happened with Kim Burrell?
Yeah.
All right. She's saying now that all of these interesting things have happened. I guess she said she never spoke on it before, how she was shot at, which is crazy to me, and that she was sort of experiencing this cancel culture thing. What is your thought on cancel?
As a whole, like, who are we to judge people for their past remarks? I remember hearing Brother Tavis on the show when he talked about, and when he, let me tell y'all, if y'all haven't streamed or if y'all haven't heard the interview that he had with De Leon.
Oh my goodness, masterful.
Robin loved it. I'm telling you, loved it. But there was a
and the city council, Paul Krikorian, the president. Yes, that was masterful as well.
Yes. But Brother Tavis brought up this point to Kevin De Leon. He said, I will say that if, you said things that a lot of people would probably say behind closed doors if they didn't have it, right? Mm-hmm. But he said, to the point of being able to say something and not having any type of cameras or recorders around you, and you still feeling somewhat bad about what you said because it's offensive. Mm-hmm. So to that point, it's like, we have all said things that probably we would not be happy about if they brought to the light.
Sure.
So we got to be very careful, I think, that if we're talking about cancel culture, because we're living in such a culture and in such a time where, I said it earlier tonight, you can say something and it's going to offend somebody. So, what is your end goal? Is it to offend, or is it to help people to understand something? But it's going to be offensive to somebody, and you just got to recognize that. And you can't blame people for putting out. You can't blame people for their ignorance if they're truly ignorant about a situation, right? So they said something 10 years ago. But now you're gonna blame them?
All right. Well, okay. I hear that point. Here's the situation with Kim Burrell. To my knowledge, she had as well that sort of nice nasty thing going on that people were offended by, and then moving forward, she had said some other things. She was inside the church. You know how it is when people, you're, especially with her, she's so well known within the church and she's revered within the church. People love to hear her, and they still kind of have that worship thing going on, like you said. When it comes to her because of who she is and her voice, her talent, and all that. The problem is when she more recently started saying some stuff again. I don't know if you heard that video where she was talking about some of y'all, she was just, I don't even remember, and I'm definitely not going to play the video because it wasn't that deep, but it offended a lot of people again. So it's like, at what point do you, I guess the people's point is that you didn't take it seriously the first or second time that you were called out because you're still making comments that are hurtful.
Right.
So this whole cancel culture, she's experiencing somewhat of a cancel culture within her industry, the entertainment industry, because they said on the Ellen show, she was supposed to be on there, perform on there, I guess, and they pulled it. So she was being canceled, and she was experiencing some of that. And so I'm not necessarily one for cancel culture. I don't think that I think everybody should be able to redeem themselves. However, I do think that we should learn, right? Because to me, it feels like she hasn't necessarily learned from some of the things that she said in the past. So what then should be the punishment if you are continuously making comments like that? It like, does cancel culture even have like a
there's no rules.
There's no rules, but is there like some sort of barometer?
No,
like, is there?
That's what I'm saying.
It's
just like, I mean, like, we can't even cancel people that legitimately need to be canceled.
Okay. Some
people need to be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? They need to be forgotten, and we're both like, and we're all like trying to figure out like who sets the tone, who determines you go and you stay. We listen to you, we shut your mouth up. Like who determines that? You know what I'm saying? And it's like that's very like pretentious of us to do.
It's pretentious as a culture, but it's
as a culture be like, you know what, we don't like what you said. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I say I listen to a certain type of leader, you know what I mean? You're gonna get mad at me. Oh, he said this or she said that and fight. But they speaking to me. Like if we start getting into this space, I'm telling you, everybody would be canceled.
It looks like we are all the judge and jury. We're the ones who, I think this is what the culture, if I could be a representative real quick, and not that I'm for it, but if I could be a representative, it feels as though, okay, we're the ones who put you there, we're the ones who could take you out of there. You get what I'm saying? And so if you something that, once again, it's like not just off of one comment that you made or something like that, but if it's a continual, offense and you're not getting the picture, then I think that's what these people are feeling. But listen, Faraji.
Yes.
You are amazing.
Come on.
I appreciate, you said, come on, let me know.
Come on, let me know.
I appreciate you so much for sitting with me again. You came through, man. You really came through. And I hope it's another time that we can sit and, chop it up again.
Big shout out to Andy.
Shout out to DJ A plus Andy in the building. He's always doing his thing. He be playing the best. DJ A plus, he be doing his thing. He always be holding it down. Once again, we want to send our love to Danny.
Shout out to Robin.
Shout out to
Can we give him something for Robin because she's been holding it down for 2 days.
Thank you, Faraji. I appreciate you. I appreciate that love. We appreciate you, and thank you to the people who called. Make sure that you tap in with us on Monday. We will be back. Danny will be back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We got to get the big guy back in.
He's coming back. Don't trip. Y'all have a beautiful, safe weekend. We appreciate you, and you are inside the Danny Morrison Show, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. Catch you next time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.